We're going to go on the offense. We're tired of playing defense. We're going to go on the offense on this and stand by.
Now, in a stunning turnaround, the diehard Trump ally and political operative is offering to testify to the January 6th committee.
Offer not accepted because it wasn't a full offer. And we're back with former federal prosecutor John Flannery covering what is this first day of the criminal trial of Mr. Bannon. I emphasize that in the past, he has found occasion to cooperate. He has found occasion to evade. It makes a big difference if you know the incumbent president. Right. It appears the jig is up. What is today about?
What it's about is we're piercing that veil of these powerful, omnipotent people who thought they could do anything in their arrogance. And he's already on notice that his defenses are not going to hold up. The judge is not going to allow them because they're not real defenses. And so he's at risk to be the first of the inner circle to go down. And even though it's going to be jail time or a suspension or something, there's blood in the water. That's the way I see it.
Really striking. And he's just, we're told, walked out of the court. We covered that jury selection today.
All right.
Most people, as you know, on day one of their criminal trial, don't give a lot of public remarks.
Right.
But, you know, some of these folks are different.
True.
We're not going to give excessive attention to this, but I do endeavor to show his side. I did mention he's legally presumed innocent. We mentioned that in all trials. And I want to show briefly what he just said leaving the court. Let's take a listen.
Sure.
We would have been more productive if we'd been on Capitol Hill in front of open mics addressing the nation with exactly all this nonsense, this show trial they've been putting up on Capitol Hill. It's nothing but a show trial. It's time they start having other witnesses. They can give other testimony other than what they've been putting up.
So fact check, we're not covering his criticism of a different proceeding. He is doing something we've seen before, trying to put somebody else on trial. But what does it tell you that he is continuing here on day one to try to at least put out in the public realm the idea that he wants to testify, which we heard from committee members last week who said, well, he hasn't provided the documents. He hasn't fully cooperated in any way.
Right. Well, he had the chance to cooperate. It's kind of his defense isn't working in court, so he's still selling it to the public, even though it's not going to be allowed in court. Which is, I just can't wait to get to a microphone and talk about what I knew and what happened. But he hasn't done anything to do it. And I think part of the defense is going to be, oh, you know, we didn't think the date was firm, that we had some wiggle room on that. Well, you know, before they passed the resolution, you know, maybe Bob Costello's counsel could have called up the general counsel and said, hey, what are you doing that for? We'll be there in the afternoon, but they didn't do it. So just like that juror said, you know, I don't significantly believe anything he says, and that's why he was kicked off the jury. Well, there got to be a lot of others by the time this jury's over will come to the same conclusion based on the evidence in the courtroom.
By the way, do you want to give us a refresher on voir dire? Because
sure,
the best way I could say it is if a juror says something reasonable, they've seen someone lie, so they no longer believe them.
Right.
On the one hand, that's a reasonable view to hold, and they're being honest under voir dire, under that type of question.
Right.
On the other hand, in fairness to any defendant, I say this for any defendant, including Mr. Bannon,
right,
that person does not belong on his jury. Explain.
Well, the theory is that we want something that doesn't exist, which is somebody that doesn't even participate in the world around them and hasn't seen the cover-to-cover coverage of him, Bannon, saying all the things he said. And so some of them may be remaining silent with views of their own that we may find out in the verdict or not.
But we would hope that they keep the open mind. If they are shown evidence that someone they might not like did not commit the crime, they got to be open to that evidence.
Well, yes, but the theory of how a juror is impartial and what happens in the real world are two different things. And a D.C. jury is going to be very different than one in the middle of Indiana. And he's sitting before a D.C. juror that is as close as possible to the heat that comes out of this controversy and who Bannon is.
As a practical matter, do you think that bodes ill for him?
Is that a rhetorical question?
I ask all kinds of questions. Some of them are...
That's a good question. I would say that, you know, I do better betting on this than the Irish lottery, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, let me show you what DOJ is saying, because he really has struggled. As they were running out of time, their arguments got worse and worse. And one of the arguments they've made relates to this, which is, oh my gosh, we need more time. Everyone's going to hold it against us, et cetera. And this is what the court has responded. They say basically, we don't accept the defendant's invitation to introduce to the jury pool, quote, extraneous information about the defendant not previously known. The defendant's concerns are likely overblown. Defendant is Bannon. But if they are not, voir dire will bear that out. In other words, If it takes longer to find people who, as you put it, are a little less informed in D.C. or have an open mind, so be it. What is his remaining defense then? Because it's 2 counts of hiding the evidence of what he did on the 6th and not testifying. And all he's coming back with is, at the last minute, I kind of offered to testify, but still didn't, which I should say, again, is different than if he pulled off a seated deposition.
Right.
Legally, it's not supposed to absolve him of this. It doesn't.
No, but it
moot
would
this,
penetrate.
But it would help.
It would help. The voir dire, I don't know if the judge exclusively conducted it. This is always a battle between attorneys and some judges. But it goes like this. So-and-so says, I don't really trust that guy. And the judge said, well, can you put that aside and not rely on that and give us a decision? So what they must be hoping for is a jury nullification, meaning despite the instructions they get from the judge and the things that they're told is the law that they should follow, that they say, no, we're going to ignore the law. They don't say it aloud, but when they go back and they deliberate, that's what they come out with. That's what they're hoping. And I think you and I are more likely to levitate than that's going to work in this case. But that's one of the hopes of a defense attorney in a case that's difficult like this. And Bob Costello...
Just to be clear, to slow you down, you're saying they would hope that 1 out of 12 jurors in there, the Bannon team, would just say, you know what, I'm not going along with this. But you're saying that because neither of us have Yoda's powers and are unlikely to levitate.
Well, some days I do. Yeah, some days I have those powers.
I got to finish a break. It's lovely to see you on set in person,
It's good to see you,
sir.
yes.